Hey, normally Carina starts off with the thought of the day or a feeling, but today's really special. I wanted to kind of do the intro. Carina was good enough to let me do it, so here we go. Because here's the thing: she doesn't know anything on what's going to happen or who this guest is, which I think is brilliant, and it's kind of payback because you always do this.
Right.
But this is one of those continuing things from other shows. I promise you, you're going to be freaked out and you're going to love this segment, so stick around. This is Dino Miliotis from Break Fear, Find Freedom, my co-host Carina, and we are welcoming a special guest, Kevin Robinson. Now, welcome, Kevin.
How you doing? Nice to meet you guys.
Hello, everyone.
Well,
Hello,
so
Kevin.
let me just explain this before we open it up, just so people understand. Now, Kevin is a blast from my past. I knew him back in the 90s. He's a friend of the family circle with my first wife, my ex-wife now. And so we used to hang around a lot, all the time in the early 90s. Kevin specifically remembers me when I was struggling and thinking of what I had to do to put food on the table. In fact, I think he was at one of the garage sales that I keep talking about, where I was actually selling things that I wanted. But I needed money, you know? And so somewhere between that time and right before I invented Bug Band, Kevin was gone from the picture, and didn't call him. He didn't call me. We lost touch, and we haven't talked for a long time. Out of the blue, as it always happens lately, out of the blue, he reached out to me through Facebook, and it said, "Hey, you got a friend request from Kevin Robinson." I'm like, "Whoa, that name sounds familiar." So I friended him, and I started looking at some of his posts, which contained a positive message, positive references. And Kevin was starting to, and by the way, I hate social media. So everybody who knows me knows that, I'm not one to like overanalyze stuff. But I started noticing that he kind of was enjoying my posts on a daily basis.
Right.
And then he reached out to me. And he reached out because he said, "Hey, congratulations on your book. And I am at a point in my life where I'm thinking about writing a book, and I don't know where to start." And then I responded by basically saying, "You know what, join the club," because I've never written a book before either. So it was a whole new experience for me.
Right.
Kevin then said, "Well, we haven't seen each other in a long time. What do you know about me?" And I said, "Well, I don't know much since last time we spoke, but it sure looks like things have changed. You look healthy, but it looks like you're in a wheelchair." And he says, "Yes, I am." And that's when the conversation got deep and heavy. And I'm proud to say that on this trip that I'm going to be doing shortly, I am making a pit stop specifically to see Mr. Robinson, where we'll sit and talk and share some light, share some hope. And I'm going to help him personally take pen to paper and get that raw energy and emotion out of him that I think is bottled up in him, and he's got something to say.
Wow.
So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Carina. We've probably got a million questions, and let's go. Thanks for letting me intro.
Well, thank you, Dino. It's a nice change to our usual format, and I was thinking about that anyway. So welcome, Kevin. Yes, this is exciting. So firstly, I'll have to ask you, right? Dino and I have been co-hosting this podcast for like over 6 months, and I know Dino.
Okay.
I know Dino now sober. So I want to ask you, what was Dino like in those days?
Go for it.
Back in those days, we were like you said, we were real close knit. He was married to my best friend's sister. And so we all hung out on the weekends all the time. And, we sat around with the kids and we drank beer and made jokes about each other's mother and stuff like that. Made jokes about each other. And, it was just all in kidding. But, for us, it was like the highlight of our week. After a hard day week, we would just get together and this is what we would do. But Dino was always focused. I mean, he always had something that he was trying to do to make ends meet, to pretty much try to find who he needed to be. Mm-hmm. And in that, I had found a lot of inspiration in it. And it was always nice to hang around him because, it was during some of the moments that we would go through, it would be those times where we just sit down and had these deep conversations, about life or kids or work, stuff like that. So
that's
you won't tell you that I'm going to say this part where Kevin during one of our parties, I decided to have a party at the house. And everybody showed, and I barely remember the rest of the night, but I do remember that Kevin invented this drink that he called hard. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I barely remember that. Yeah,
exactly. And it was this drink. I think now they call it a mind eraser, but basically everything on the bar shelf, he just poured in this damn thing. He's like, I made a drink. It's called hard. So I started drinking this thing. Next thing you know, I'm like, I'm hot. I need to take a shower. So I go and I take a shower and I come out and I forgot my robe. So I just kind of walked through the house and I'm like, I don't care. So, I mean, we've gone through some weird stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to make me a saint. Trust me. I mean, we had a lot of fun, but who would know that literally over 25 years later, here we are with a completely separate set of circumstances, because I'm the first to tell you, we didn't talk about religion or spirituality back then. We didn't talk about all the messages of hope and all this other stuff. We're just a couple of kids, mostly lost, mostly going through life and trying to take care of a family and children and putting food on the table and all those things that everybody worries about, right?
Yes. So
fast forward to today, which, again, I mean, I'm feeling the vibe, but a completely different Kevin Robinson, right?
Yes. So now I'm going to go so we've just got a picture of you guys playing then. So now, Kevin, what do you see? How do you see Dino now? And then tell us a bit about Kevin.
Well, first, let me forgive me for all the noise. I'm in an area where it's just a lot of people doing a lot of things right now.
Oh, it's fun. It's all part of the fun.
Oh, okay. I mean, when I found Dino on Facebook, it was that thing of where I was trying to find enlightenment. I was trying to reconnect with my past in order to try to find my way again. Because what has transpired with me since Dino last seen me is that in 2007, I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, limb girdle. And it was it radically changed everything about me. I went from walking, playing basketball, remember how we used to play football? Went from doing that to being in a power chair now. And on top of that, trying to raise now 3 teenagers who, my last one graduated last Friday. So
congratulations.
Right. Thank you. But I needed to find my way, because what has transpired is that a lot of things in my life has changed. And I found that first it was that thing of being a Black man in America was hard. But I found out being disabled is even worse, because it's like we're not being seen. And when we are seen, it's that we're a burden or that we're incompetent or we're not fit for society. And
with pity. You're seen with pity.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's that thing where it's hard for me to grasp that. I mean, for a long period of my life, I had to adjust to this life. You know, going from walking to not walking, and I've had most craziest things said to me. You know, I've been called half a man. I've been told that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. So when I came to Dino, when I finally, you know, seen him on there and seen that he wrote a book, I wanted to express the path and the journey that I've taken in my words, to be able to be a voice for those who are in my situation, who have walked my situation and found the courage to continue to walk and fight and move forward. And like I said, seeing Dino and the things that I know that he went through and where he is now, I couldn't have looked for a better role model. So
thank you.
I'm flattered.
I'm nobody's role model, but again, I mean, similar kind of parallel circumstances. My hardship certainly, I'm not trying to say my life was harder than yours or whatever, but they're equally difficult paths.
Right.
And for me, it's, you know, finally understanding that my addiction and my demons, it was final. It's not, I'm going to stop drinking right now, and maybe in a couple of years I could drink socially. It was, I can never drink again, period. So from this point on, you got to figure out, Dino Miliotis, are you going to be love and light and fun with or without alcohol? Or are you going to rely on a crutch to define who you are? Like, because my big thing is, well, how am I going to be at parties? How am I going to be when I meet people? Who wants to meet me? I'm going to be boring. I'm going to be this. I mean, these are initial things that go through your head. Much like somebody who has been sentenced, I'm going to use that word, to a wheelchair, not for a little while, not till you heal, but brother, for life, right?
Right.
And until you wrap your mind around that fact that this is final, you can't move on.
For me, it's that thing of I haven't got to that point. And I think that's the part that keeps pushing me forward. Because with limb girdle, there is no treatment and no cure. And now it's when I found out about this diagnosis, there was no one I could turn to. And so all the research that I've learned has been through me doing it myself, which I found that there are treatments that I can do, that I can slow it down. There are diets that I've initiated that help with my weight and my muscle, making sure that my muscles don't deteriorate. So seeing that, using that sentence to a chair, it's one of those things that I can't wrap my head around, because for me, it would be that chain that I do not want wrapped around me. But I do understand what you're saying. And yeah, we do share a lot in common with that mindset, because it's like, is this chair going to define me? And that's the thing. It's like, no, I don't want that, because no, it doesn't define me. It's a part of my life. It's a part that I need right now. But in the end, it's not who Kevin Robinson is.
I love that, because for me, it's always about finding the blessing within every situation. And I know a lot of people look at you and go like, how? And just your words are saying the exact same thing. So already that is such a message of hope for anybody in your situation, or, you know, being either having muscular dystrophy, being sick, or having or being in a wheelchair. And I'll take away that sentence, like Dino said, and the chain, will take away the chain as well, and say, hey, you know what, this can be a blessing, and we'll have to find the blessing so that we can move forward in a positive light and help others do the same.
Right.
So So that's a very exciting message on its own, and already Dino, I think, knows that. I mean, he's seen that, right? And that's why when the two of you get together to write this book, it needs to come out, right? It's a book that has to be written because of the hope that it'll just give to everybody else in your situation. And imagine how many people you can impact. So tell us a bit. Sorry. Okay. So you were saying,
ahead,
Kevin?
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, how do you manage every day?
When you say manage, you mean just my everyday
You as your everyday like
mentally?
attitude, mentally, yeah.
Some days there's a struggle because it's a certain reality that, like I said, it's hard for me to adjust to. Going from walking and vibrant and serving in the Air Force and doing all the things that I've done to now not being able to do those things, not being able to run, stand, drive for a long time. It was difficult, but I always find hope in the fact that I look at this as that this is not a life sentence. I have to find a way around this. I have to find a way to live. I have to find my idyllic reason for being here. Mm-hmm. And so that gets me through the day to where these unique things happen to me. I mean, just recently, I got my driver's license again. So, that was a milestone for me because for a while, I watched myself slowly lose that ability to drive. Mm-hmm. But now I've gained it back. So my everyday, it's a struggle. It's one of those things where the reality of what's happening to me is always there, but it's also that thing of it can't define what I do and what I become. And that's usually what motivates me through the day.
I love that.
Let me ask you a question, Kevin. So the Kevin now is the guy who has a story to tell, wants to inspire others, wants to basically create awareness for this debilitating disease that you have. Because you know what? I mean, I'll be the first to say, you hear MS, you don't know all the things about MS. You just kind of put it in a category. You don't know what's going on. So I get that. But everybody's got that rock bottom moment. I know I had. And my moment was sitting in my mansion alone with all these cars and pieces of art and 40-foot ceilings and all this stuff. And I'm alone in the dark and I'm crying and I'm saying, I have all this and I have nothing. And that was pretty much my rock bottom moment where I'm just like, I got to do something with my life. So what I wanted to find out is your rock bottom moment. So we're 2007, 2008, you find out about this. I'm sure you didn't believe it. I'm sure you wanted to fight it. I'm sure, you're like, but, what can I do? How can I beat this? What was your rock bottom?
I would have to say 2007, when I found out about my diagnosis. I mean, I remember the day exactly. It was July 3rd. It was, I had returned from the doctor's office. They had took a biopsy. And they weren't sure what form of muscular dystrophy it was because certain forms of it, if you take steroids, it helps. It staves it off. But after I went to the doctor on that day, she had confirmed that it was a limb girdle, which, she told me sitting in office that there was no treatment and no cure. Now, prior to this, what led up to this decision was that at that time, there was a lot of turmoil in my life. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my career. I was working with a Fortune 500 company. I wasn't happy there. I was happy doing the job, but I wasn't happy there. And so I was under a lot of stress. And I found out it was difficult for me to walk up and down the stairs. And so I thought that, maybe it's just the fact that I'm stressed or, that I need to work out a little bit more. So I had went and got a physical therapist and got someone to help train with me. And they seen right away that there was atrophy in my forearms. And I didn't want to believe it. I was like, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's not what's happening. It's probably because I'm not eating right, or I don't know. Maybe I'm working too hard. But jumping back to July 3rd, with all that in mind, when the doctor confirmed that, it was denial at first. And then it was an overwhelming grief of, oh, this makes sense now, why I couldn't run as fast, or when it got really cold, I would stumble. And then that's when everything got worse. I told my family, they didn't believe it. No one in my family has it. No one in my family has a background of it. I told my friends, they didn't believe it either. They pretty much thought it was, I guess, me making up an excuse for why my situation is bad. So pretty much what happened to me, that rock bottom for me, was when everybody abandoned me. I was left to figure this out alone. I mean, my wife had ran off, and God knows what she did. And all my friends left me. I was left alone in a hotel room to figure out what to do next. How am I going to deal with this? I mean, what is going on? And for the last 15 years, it's kind of pretty much been that way. I mean, my kids are here with me, but they're kids and they don't understand that, but we've had to make do. I had to be a dad. I had to be a provider. I had to find a way to make for them while dealing with my own inner demons, ghosts, fears, insecurities, and those things. And it was difficult. And I mean, my rock bottom started then, and it lasted up until the last 5 years. Because I mean, I was clinically diagnosed with depression. And the doctor wanted to
go figure.
I know. And, the doctor wanted to put me on some kind of medication, but I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to figure out what I need to do. Because Dino would tell you, I'm a fighter. I can't sit and settle for what's been handed to me. Mm-hmm. I got to know why and what should I do about it. And, but long story short, my rock bottom has lasted for a long time. And I've, in the last 5 years, I found my way out of it. I found my way out.
That's a powerful story, brother. Powerful story. And by the way, we haven't talked. We've sent 2 messages on Facebook to each other. This is the first time I'm seeing you and speaking with you since 1995.
Right.
Amazing. I mean, you still look the same, sort of. But I like the beard, by the way. But a completely different Kevin.
Right.
Very proud of you. Very proud.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah. I appreciate that. I'm proud of you too, man.
Oh, thank you. Carina, what do you think?
So what, I have to ask one more question. What was it that changed 5 years ago? I mean, what happened to change everything in your life from being rock bottom to being Kevin now?
I got tired of being what everybody wanted me to be.
I love it.
It became that thing of I was just tired of it. I was tired of being what other people believed I should be or what other people believed I was. And I needed to be my own person. And for me, it was, like I said, this illness shed a lot of light on the fact of who I really was. Because like I said, I had to find out, I had to do all the self-evaluations. I had to figure out everything that I needed to do for me in order to survive with this. And that's when I found that, you know, I'm tired of jumping through hoops for other people. I wanted to be my own person. I wanted to find my ideal way of living and what works for me, not what someone else thinks that I should be or do or say or, you know, those things. And so that's where it came from me. It was just one day I just woke up and was like, I'm tired of being Kevin for everybody else. I need to be Kevin for me. And I've made it this far when the diagnosis were that, no, you won't make it to 40, you won't make it to 48, you know, that. Come September, I'll be 55. And I'm pretty healthy being a person with limb girdle. Actually, I guess what my doctor says, the abnormal, because I'm a big guy to have it. And that's one of the things that that motivated me too, that you are exceptional, you are unique. And I went with it. I just went with that.
You want to know his nickname, Carina, which again, I got to bring this up. I'm not plugging the book, but how ironic. His nickname was Box.
Wow.
I know.
I mean, you can't make this up.
I know.
You know? Wow. And
I
now
love
there
this.
is no box.
There is no
And
box.
now there is no
There's no
box.
box no more. Yeah.
All right. I'm leaving on a high note. This is perfect. No.
I love this.
I'm excited. I'm excited because, you know, I personally can tell that when people have that, and it's okay to say this, I mean, that's how I felt, that like anger, it's pent up anger and rage. It's like, you got to tell your story, you got to let it out. Not only is it healing for the person telling the story, right? But then if it's really you know, emotional message, it's going to spread. You can't possibly think that you're the only person going through this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And therefore your message becomes universal. It'll resonate with people that are like, hey, I'm going through this too, or hey, I'm feeling like this too.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're all the same, right?
Right.
That's why I think your story is powerful. That's why I'm coming to see you. It's not because, oh, let's catch up on old time. I mean, I'm sure we will.
Right.
But it's mainly because, again, I'm not a writer. I'm a storyteller, and that's actually the greatest thing that I could have been. Had I known how to write a book and what statistics and charts say about writing a book and your demographics, I'd be lost. But I'm just like, I'm not an author. I don't particularly like reading. I certainly don't like writing. But here's a guy that's like, I'm going to write a book. And by the way, I'm writing a second memoir that's going to come out in fall of 2023. And you're going to be a part of that. You're going to be mentioned in there because it is the random coincidences that have happened in my life since I wrote the first book. So I'm not talking about me per se, but what I'm saying is it's really exciting to see somebody at the point where they're ready to say their story, because I think it's going to come out beautifully.
Yes. And you've taken your power back as well. That's also beautiful, where you've had the courage to say, you know what, it's about me now. Like, I have to take control now. So that's also beautiful on its own. And it's amazing how the universe, God, or whatever works, because you, at this point, you're perfect to align with Dino, so you meet. So it's a beautiful dance again.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right.
I love it. I love the pattern on and the just the synchronicities of it all. It's beautiful. Yes.
So a question, Kevin, when you said the doctor said I wouldn't make it, are you talking about like death? Or are you talking about like, you're talking about death?
Right. Yeah. Because with limb-girdle, the life expectancy is really, once it onsets, because for most people, it onsets in childhood, and the average male does not make it to 28.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's because,
Wow.
it has because your heart's a muscle, and you begin to have issues with your heart and stuff like that. And so, I never had a problem. I mean, like I said before, I mean, my problem didn't occur until I was in my 40s. Well, 40 to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am 15 years later, I'm still around, still doing some of the things that I like to do, but I'm in a wheelchair. And that's a lot to be said for this, and and it also, depends on my diet and stuff like that. I'm partially keto. I exercise a little bit as much as I can without stressing myself. And I've learned to reduce my stress by looking at the world through a different lens. That, before it was this thing that woe is me, everything is happening to me, and oh my God, the world is against me, to where now it's that there are these things in life that happen that there's nothing you can do anything about. The only thing you can do is how you reframe your beliefs about what you need to do about it. And that's what I've done. So
that clip right there, Carina, you need to take that clip, and that is a perfect promo. I'm telling you right now.
It is.
You couldn't have made a better promo. So we're talking about somebody, a guest on our podcast, that basically has exceeded the life expectancy given to him by authorities, and not kind of running away saying, hey, I can't believe my luck, but maybe understanding that you have X amount of time, and when that comes, how are you going to leave the world?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Is that a better statement?
That's a yes. I mean, it's more of look, we all have an expiration clock. We just don't know it. For me, I have a little bit more of an understanding of that, even though I still don't know it, because of the things that I'm doing, I don't know. So I'm just like everybody else. But it's a thing that I've come to realize that I do have a story to tell, and that I'm not the only one, and that there are other people out there that need to know that there is hope, that there is something you can do, that you're not worthless, that you're not insignificant, that you have power. Whether you're in a wheelchair, standing up, crutches, whatever, you have power. And it's time that you grab hold to it and use it.
Yes.
And that your life is not defined by others.
Right. That's the most important, right?
Yes.
This is awesome. Couldn't, you know what? I'm just, anyway, the things that work out, they work out. But what a perfect guest for a perfect time. And again, I always preach a message of hope, and you need a message of hope, go to Dino. But I'm nothing, because there are Kevins out there, and there are Johns and Georges and Sallys and Marias. And I mean, there's a lot of people that think like this, and it spreads like a wildfire.
Yes.
If you just let in that hope, if you just let in that message, that's what it's about.
Right.
Guys, this was extraordinarily fun. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Kevin, I'm looking forward to working with you. I will publish your book when the time comes.
Well, thank you.
I think it's going to be remarkable. And actually, you've given me about, I don't know, but part of a chapter that I'm going to call Kevin Robinson. Well, probably not that name, but actually, maybe a chapter that says there is no box. Literally, there is
You're
no
right,
box.
right.
Right.
I enjoyed this very much, and thank you very much, Carina. Thanks for letting me be the important host today. I mean, I appreciate it very much.
Well,
Kevin,
it's great to do something different, and so
yeah, it's fun, and this one was kept highly secretive because I knew that had I explained who was coming on the show and the relationship that we had in the past, it just kind of, I just rather just throw it out there and